I'm William.
Abdul.
I'm Steven.
And Jacob.
And Jacob here is going to talk to you about how we actually designed our game.
So there are 5 major components to the engineering design process. There's ask, imagine, plan, create, and improve.
Ask. We needed a computer game that incorporates learning outcomes.
Imagine. We met 4 times at the library before we even started to think about development.
Plan. We used Google Drawings and whiteboards to plan out our game's flow.
Create. At this point, we started to delegate and work on each individual aspect of our game. We had 3 mini games and then compiled them all into one game.
Improve. We would send out our finished game to other developers to get a fresh perspective.
So one of the challenges that we had that all members had different spread out schedules. The second challenge is that GameMaker has an operating system restrictions. It has its own language coding. The third challenge is merging the 3 mini games into one whole game.
Now, on that day, we actually did manage to place first, and one of the reasons why we think we accomplished this was because we actually managed to focus more on the STEM games throughout all 3 of our mini games. And the fact that we had split it up into 3 mini games seemed to keep the users more interested in the game throughout the entire gameplay experience. We also had QR codes available linking to a website with a free download of our game, which made our presentation seem more professional.
Some failures of our game were that we tried to push too much out of the game, like incorporating text input, which GameMaker did not allow. Something that we would do differently would be much more realistic with our time frame, because we were really ambitious and we had to cut things a little bit short.
So my advice to the freshmen is to set goals and project checkpoints at the beginning of the semester and create a plan. My second advice is to be flexible. Be flexible with the plan that you set, because it will change no matter what.
And my advice for the freshmen that end up being assigned an educational computer game specifically would be to use GameMaker. We definitely enjoyed it and it worked out for us. Even though GameMaker is advertised as a drag and drop, no coding required game engine, we would definitely recommend to learn some code because it makes the engine a lot more useful in the end.
And here are some scenes of gameplay from Bob's Major Decision.
Bob's Major Decision is based off the idea that our main character Bob is trying to figure out which discipline of engineering he should pursue as he enters college. Let's take a look at the aerospace portion of the game. Here are some the instructions for the game. As you can see, you can move around with the left and right arrow keys, you can shoot bullets with the left mouse button, and you can summon allies with the right mouse button, as you will see in just a moment there. Now, the score and health is always displayed at the top left corner of the game, and as you can see, as I destroy enemies, the score goes up. If I were to be hit by an enemy plane, my health would go down by 2, and if either the score or health reaches 0, it's game over. Now, another way you can lose points of score is if you stray outside of the game field. And in just a moment, my health will reach 0, and game over will appear. Now, let's take a look at the computer science portion of this game.
Welcome to the computer science game. The story for this game is that you are a student who wants to compete in the Krispy Kreme challenge. However, you noticed a typo on the website. Using the tutorials, you must answer questions one would encounter in this process in order to fix the typo. This game uses real Unix commands that one can use to navigate servers in real life, which is what we were trying to accomplish in this game.
Now we're done with the tutorial. Here's the part in which the player has to answer several questions regarding the process of hacking in and fixing the typo. We have to mention that there is a pop-up window that tells whether the player has gotten the answer correct or not. However, it's not shown here because of the software that we used to record this video. The amount of the correct and the incorrect answers is stored as a local variable. The overall score is stored as a global variable, so we can access this variable outside of the computer science game. Now, let's take a look at the electrical engineering portion.
This is the Circuit Builder game. The game begins with a short introduction to electrical engineering, which leads into an item identification game. The first level requires the player to match the names to the components, giving them a basic knowledge of circuits. The following circuit games seek to teach the basic concepts of circuits, such as conductivity of objects and circuit completion. The game places heavy emphasis on mastery of the subject being taught by not allowing the player to move on until everything is in the right position. The final game is a maze completion game that is a bit more fun and allows the user to apply previously learned concepts to complete the maze game. The player needs to collect the 2 objects necessary to complete the level. First, it is necessary to obtain the battery, which powers the teleporter, and then the wire snippers, which will let the player get through the electric wire. Finally, avoid the charged capacitors, which release a deadly shock and reset the player and the obtained objects. There's special emphasis placed on finishing the game quickly because the score is running down in the background. And shout out to our amazing EV director, Chester. Mic drop.
These are not our final credits, however, as we go on to look at the final score. In this instance, Bob has been recommended to be a computer systems engineer due to his high score in computer science. This has been Bob's Major Decisions. Thank you for playing.